All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Rachak Wadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect. Shalom Barakathum. And women in Germany specifically are shook over the AI dolls. Okay, you have artificial intelligence dolls. All right, this immediately when I saw this. There's a video, I think the Poor Man's Podcast, he did on it about how the women, they're getting upset, because men are opting to pay. I think in one of the places, well, in Germany, they basically have what you call a Psy brothel, which Psy is like cyborg, I guess, but it's a brothel, and you go in there, and there's some Edomites running a brothel with some dolls. You can rent them out, and I believe they said you can it's like $100 or something like that for 1 hour with one. And women are getting online, which I got to scrounge TikTok a little bit to see every one of them, the reactions, but they're getting online. They're upset. Why are they upset? It's not because they like you or they love you, but they know that their primary leverage over a man is sex. Okay, that's their leverage. They can no longer sexually manipulate men if this thing becomes a trend. And the first show I thought about was the show Westworld. Okay, and this is a stumbling block, not a stumbling block, but a trick bag, really, that women have put themselves in, if you think about it, because the whole reason this is even possible is because everybody has dove head first into hookup culture. All right, hookup culture is basically you see somebody you like that's attractive, and then you just have sex with them. There's no family. There's no incentive to want to have kids or procreate. You're just scratching your biological itch, and that's largely what relationships have devolved into. People would get into whole relationships just because they were attracted to somebody. Or a man, he'll stay with a woman, for years because, he's not that secure. He may have been able to get that woman, but he's not secure. So he's listening to whatever she say. She's bossing him around because he's scared that he can't get another woman. He doesn't want her to leave, so he'll stay in a relationship for years because of his insecurity of sex. Now, what happens when that goes away, where you can just buy a doll? All right, see, this is why men need the drive in you to want to start a legacy of family, which you can't have here in America. Esau has unleashed feminism on it, and it's completely destroyed men's drive and need to want to do that, because even just marrying a woman with no kids can ruin you. Okay, if you have kids, it multiplies it. Okay, and it produces degeneracy. Now you got to deal with the next generation who didn't have a father or who had a mother that resented them. So you can not have a father, and you got a mother that resents you because of your father. All right, so some jakes get it double bad, and it's just like, why go through all of that? Because Esau's allowed sex to be the number one leading quality of people, which in the ancient world, man, you would deal with the father, man. He says, I like your daughter, I want to marry her. You go see what's up with the father. He would vet you, see what you're about. You could read the story of Jacob and Laban, okay, or Jacob and Laban, and how he had to work to get Rachel and Leah to see how he used to do things. Okay, that's how it used to be. But you would go to the man, he would vet you, and then if he was pleased with your work ethic, your integrity, whatever it is, you would come to an agreement. Money wise, you may have other things, but the point is that it would be between two men. You're not just walking up into a bar and this woman, she's mad at her boyfriend that night, all of a sudden, you into some bull, okay? Or you're dealing with a woman, but her baby daddy, he lurking, he jealous, This open dating is a suboptimal form of reproduction, okay? It doesn't work, It seems like it works for a while because like everybody can just have sex with who they want to have sex with, but eventually what happens? STDs start popping up, all right? Kids start getting rebellious. You start having higher crime rates, okay? Men that can't control themselves because they didn't have a father. Go look up all of the single mother statistics, man, and see how terrible it is. All right. And women have a tendency to want to choose men that don't want them. Okay, there's something in a woman. The less you want her, the more she kind of wants to give you some box. Every brother that and the truth, they can kind of attest to this, man. You act like you don't need the woman. She's like all of a sudden she's more interested in you now, man. Or if you prove that you can get another woman without her, she's more interested in you now. That's counterintuitive. That man has not displayed any indication that he wants to be a father or a husband. Okay, and those are the women that women go for. So what do you have? A lot of women choosing men that didn't want to be fathers. Okay, that's what you have, and it's so bad now. Half of the women are just straight up have somebody else's kids they're walking in a relationship with. And all of them have been hit by multiple men. So you don't even get that. You don't even get the full bond of a woman. Most men walking around have never experienced what it's like for have a woman really be clinging on to you. Most men will never experience that because it's just in high school these women are getting ran through, man. And that was the case when I was in high school 20 years ago. Okay, so how much worse is it now? But the scriptures speak about the things being turned upside down and being esteemed as the potter's clay. They tell you that it's empowering, but it's not. It's the opposite. It's destroying you. Now you're crying because they about to go Westworld on you. All right. And if hookup culture is what the norm is, you would be hard pressed to find an argument of why they shouldn't just do the sex dolls. If you're not gonna have families, which we're in a kingdom, we're gonna dead all of this shit, man. You will have families, okay? You heathen are gonna get bred, okay, like livestock, just like you did us, all right? The man and his woman is gonna be in order. We're gonna have tons of kids, and everything's gonna be in order. But in this world, it doesn't make sense to continue to embrace hookup culture, man. Okay, why would you deal with a regular woman if you have a chance of committing a crime? You can't really commit a crime against a robot. Okay, the robot can accuse you of certain things or have remorse or or regret. All right, it ain't gonna get an attitude. It's not gonna carry STDs or diseases because they can dead all of that, man, through just having it as a business. All right, Esau gonna have a robots. You basically just swap the box out. You know what I'm saying? You let this devil go on past GTA 6. When you get to GTA 9, this nigga gonna have everything, man. All right. So there's no reason to deal with a real woman if hookup culture is all you got, because a real woman is a headache, man. All right. You painted yourself into a corner by weaponizing your sexuality. All right. I mean, Esau encouraged you to do this, and now look, now you're about to replace yourself. A lot of you women, really, most of you are just whores. Even if you don't have an OnlyFans, even if you don't outright have men leave the money on the nightstand. All right, you're still whores. Why? Because you're transacting. Okay, if you're transacting, you're monetizing your beauty. All right, you're weaponizing the way you look to get things out of a man, to extract wealth, resources, even attention. Okay, that's whoredom. Okay, because you're not offering anything. You're not offering any motherly qualities. You're not offering any helpmate, supportive qualities. You're just exploiting the fact that the man has a biological urge, and you're trying to squeeze as much as you can out of him, from it, And imagine going your whole life, and that's the only skill set that you have, man. You're bad at your job. You work a customer service job. You get an attitude, and they're paying you to be nice. Okay. You don't have friends. Y'all all backbite and talk to each other. You don't have nothing else going for you except your looks. What do you think is going to happen when Esau supplants your sexuality with this new shit? Okay? See, this is why the Lord has the law, statutes, and commandments set up. And the number one thing he established is order, man. Okay? In Genesis, the 3rd chapter, He said, your desire shall be to your husband. Okay? He shall rule over you. Why did the Lord say that? Because women are they're natural agents of chaos, man. They need structure, they need order. I don't care what nobody told you. Okay? You need that, okay? You need it. Otherwise, you'll destroy yourself, you'll destroy your kids, you'll destroy other men. All right? You'll cause all kind of problems, property damage, okay? Everything, you know? We're made to be with one another, and not just be with one another, but to be with one another in particular roles. There's an optimal way to coexist with man and woman and family, okay? And the way you do that is the Holy Scriptures, law, statutes, and commandments, man. You deviate from that, it may not get you in the first month, the first year, or even the first generation. But eventually, your society, your empire, whatever, it's gonna crumble, it's gonna fall, okay? Because the Scriptures are the ways of life, okay? You see, so let this be a lesson again to you women. And this is gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad, okay? Esau may have something on the level of Westworld. What are you gonna do when it's completely indistinguishable? And that show Westworld, you literally couldn't tell. That they were so realistic in the show that they were often like political figures, man, and swapping them out. Okay, literally couldn't distinguish them. Okay, now imagine you can just work a tech job. One of them nerds, they work a tech job, and then they buy $100,000 robot, and she's bad. Okay, put on whatever accent you want, look however you want, say else, you know. That you women are in trouble. All right, now I don't personally believe we're gonna be here that long. You know, I think the Lord could be here this year. You know, but it goes to show you the more you kick against the pricks, the worse it's gonna be for you, man. And once apathy starts setting in for you women, once apathy sets in with men towards women, okay, the worse off you are. Okay, you would rather have men be misogynistic than to be apathetic. And the reason I say that is because misogynistic deals with the hatred of women. When a man hates you, he's still at the very least emotionally invested. Okay, but once apathy sets in, he literally doesn't care. You know? And once a man doesn't care, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can call him. You can't say you're weird, you're a nerd, you can't get no box. All right, you sassy, you gay. None of that's gonna work once apathy sets in with these men. I'm telling y'all. Okay? You despise instruction, you despise wisdom, so the Lord's gonna deal with you accordingly, man. You know, we had the elder doing the video about the women, you know, getting mad at the difference between a wife and a concubine. Well, what do you think is gonna be going on in the kingdom? Y'all read the scriptures, man. All right, y'all love to just have a man just deal with you and you only. Here we are, gods on the earth, and you want us to have the same level of treatment as the regular heathen? Are you out of your mind? I ain't going through all of this and suffering the curses and dealing with Esau just to live like a goddamn Moabite, you know? No, I'm gonna have plenty of women, and y'all are gonna be okay with it because you'll be in your right mind, and you'll have servants too. You ain't gonna have to worry about nothing. Okay, you ain't gonna have to worry about washing dishes and doing all of that. You know, a woman gonna do it because she loves you and she wants to do it. You know, just like, you know, when a woman, you know, does, you know, goes down on you, the reason women are enjoying, you know, giving their man head or whatever you want to call it, the reason she enjoys doing it because that's her natural order. It's an act of service. Okay, you know, women can enjoy that when they're in the right spirit doing acts of service. So if she wants to do something for you and clean you up before you do something, then she'll do it. But the point is she's not gonna have to. Okay, we're gonna be really ruling, really balling. Okay. We ain't even gonna need money. That's how high up we're gonna be gods. All right, but you're too stuck on wanting to police a man. Okay, which we're not gonna be men in the kingdom. We're gonna be gods. Okay, good luck. You know, trying to do that, which you're not, because you know in the kingdom, like I said, you know, you'll understand. But you women on this side, you're gonna have to. Y'all got a bitter hill to climb. Okay. I'll just put it to you that way. Anyway, I've been going on long enough. Lord willing, this is edifying. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rachak Wadash Shalom. Kwam Yashar Allah.